Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and first timer on Ron Siegel Radio. Brian Vieaux is with us from FinLocker. Welcome, Brian.
All right. Hey, Ron, thanks for having me on. I love the opening, love the energy. Looking forward to this today.
Glad to have you with us. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. Of course, we celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. You know, we are living in the greatest country in the world, regardless of what side of the political aisle you're on. So we get to celebrate all the time. And for those of you out there that don't believe that we are in the greatest country of all time, well, why don't you just go celebrate today's National Teddy Bear Day? So you can just go and enjoy, cuddle with the teddy bear and have a good time. For the rest of us, it's National Wiener Schnitzel Day. Now, I have beaten anorexia, so I was not thinking about the Wiener Schnitzel dog. I'm thinking about the food. Of course, I'm thinking about food. Made strictly with veal. Okay, thin slice of veal, lightly salted, breading. Then it's deep fried in clarified butter. I don't even know what clarified butter is, but as long as it's butter, it's got to be good. Served warm. Maybe you could put a little gravy on that too. I think it might be good with a little gravy on there. Mashed potatoes. Won't do good for my diet, so I might have to go and get back to today's also National Ants on a Log Day. Yeah, I know. I'm at 89 pounds right now. I'm trying to get to 100 pounds lost by the end of September. If I can get to 100 pounds, I might be a little aggressive to still get there, being that if you're listening to us as we record the 9th of September, it doesn't give me a whole lot of time to get that other 11 pounds. So I don't know if I'm going to make that one, but it's a good goal. 100 pounds. Well, 100 pounds is I know a lot of people that don't even weigh 100 pounds. Okay, so let's get on with it. So ants, those, you don't know what ants on the log are? Celery, peanut butter, raisins. Now, I'm going to throw this out there. I look at the picture of it, it's work. So I just go and grab a tablespoon, Jiffy crunchy peanut butter. Now, 2 tablespoons, 180 calories. Yeah, I'm back to looking at the calories and figuring them out again. It's a battle, but, I got these shots going. And now that I found some research, I found a place to get them less than $200 a month. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Eli Lilly at $1,200 a month. And I'm not going to Europe to get them for $80 a month. So that's, as we put it here on Ron Siegel Radio.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so let's move right along and see what the markets are doing. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 43 points right now. It's been a roller coaster on the Dow today. The NASDAQ is down 7. S&P 500 is down 0.15. Oil's up 58 cents a barrel. Do we want to understand why? Do we care what? Well, we care why because it's got to do with the Middle East, as always. There might be some question marks going over there. Looks like Israel's trying to wrap up this war. They went and took care of some Hamas leadership, but they were in Qatar. So, yeah, it's a tough time over there. I'd like to get that war released. And once again, Israel did suggest to Hamas, release all the hostages. We'll give you safe passage wherever you want to go or wherever they might take you. Hamas turns them down. Does that surprise anybody?
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
Nope. Okay, but let's see what that's doing to gas prices. National average gallon of gasoline. $3.19 is the average of a gallon of gasoline. A year ago, we were at $3.27, so we're coming down a little bit. And we're looking at California, $4.62 a gallon, $4.63 if we round that off properly. $4.63 a gallon of gasoline here in the formerly Golden State. Ow! Thanks, Gavin. But again, just think, he wants to do to the rest of the country what he's doing to us in California. Is that what you want? Now, let's just see. Josh is over there. What, $3.60, Josh, give or take? About $3.60 a gallon of gasoline. So a whopping $1 a gallon if we go across the border. And our guest, Brian, he's out there in Michigan. $3.14 is what AAA tells us is the cost of a gallon of gasoline over there. So, think about this one. California and Nevada, we're $1 a gallon apart, and we're both in the top 10 highest priced. Now, out there in Michigan, they're in the middle quadrant of middle quintile, I guess they call it. I'm not the analyst of numbers. That's where Brian will come in later in the show. But they're in the middle 10. So that's just how that one goes. And once again, what's driving these markets is bad data coming from the United States government. So here's what it really drives me nuts as a consumer advocate. So today we get the data that comes out regularly from the QCEW. That's the Census Bureau. And they're telling us that the last year, the data that came out on the non-farm payrolls data was overstated by 911,000 jobs. Now, understand this, because this is not political. This hurt you. The fact that the government for the last year, and I think that year ending the first quarter, March of 2025. So go from April 2024 to March 2025. The jobs numbers were overstated by 911,000 jobs. Now, why do you say that hurts you? It's in interest rates. So the interest rates would have been or should have been lower, because if you watch every time the jobs reports come out, the first Friday of the month generally, we see that we get these reports saying, oh, we got a lot of new jobs. So we see a spike in the bond market. We see the 10-year, the mortgage bond goes down, so rates go up. We see the 10-year treasury yield goes up. That hurts you. Sorry, seniors, I know that helps you when we got a high 10-year treasury. But the bottom line is, for the most part, that's hurting people. And one of the things that we want to watch is don't hurt the people. So when people say that the new person coming in to head the Bureau of Labor Statistics is just going to be a Trump puppet, I hope not. I hope he changes the methodology using great technology to get the data correct. If you have correct data, you can make correct decisions. For the last year, we've had bad data, so the decisions that have been made have been based on bad data, which means it's costing you money. Understand why I get so passionate about this? When these things happen, it hurts us. And I don't care that it was Biden's administration or Trump's administration, or if you want to go back, Trump or Obama or Bush or Clinton. I don't care. Get the data right so we can make good decisions. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. We're going to get you good data on you. We're going to learn how to do that. Inventory of homes for sale at a 5-year high, the hidden cost of free credit protection, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 0186942. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. I lost you guys. Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual lock rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to find out your principal and interest payment. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, shame on you, because we give it to you for free every morning. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. What did rates do yesterday? According to OBMMI, they went down on all cases. Conventional 30-year fixed, 6.269. Jumbo 30-year fixed, 6.482. FHA 30-year fixed, 6.054. VA 30-year fixed, 5.759. And the USDA 30-year fixed, 6.12. Don't get confused when you see these numbers and then you watch the news. The news is going to tell you that the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates on the 17th of September, and that is correct. The Federal Reserve does not affect mortgage rates. If they cut by that quarter, it's already baked in. And there is a saying in the markets is buy the rumors, sell the news. If the bond market starts selling off based on the news, that means mortgage rates will increase. If you want our thoughts about the market, all you have to do is go to rsrlinks.com/HBOD, rsrlinks.com/HBOD, and join the community. We put out our thoughts almost every morning right there. Let's see what the markets are doing right now. So we've got the S&P 500 is now up 3.84. The 10-year Treasury is up 4 basis points. And remember, that's the yield. 4.08 is the yield on the 10-year Treasury. Remember I told you yesterday we were going to have trouble getting below the psychological level of 4%. And there's a lot of technicals that go in there. I'm not going to bore you with them. Yes, I do understand them because I have no life. And then we've also got the mortgage bond right now is down 13 basis points. Remember, bond down, rates up. So what's driving all this? As I shared with you earlier, we got the QCEW annual revisions from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's their quarterly census of employment and wages report. 12 months through March 2025. Said that the jobs report was overstated by 911,000. That means on average, each month over the time period was overstated by 76,000 jobs, and 52% of the jobs that they said were created never were. Currently, the largest revision on record, and shows that the labor market has been much weaker than previously thought, just as we had suspected. While it's vindicating, we know that those jobs reports last year that really hurt rates, especially in the fourth quarter, were false. Remember, rates moved lower in advance of the September 18th cut by 5/8, were stable for a few weeks after, and then started to really move higher after the release of the blockbuster September jobs report on October 4th. This was followed up by a very strong November and December jobs report, also causing rates to rise. Today's QCEW report is just another reason why the Fed should be cutting rates multiple times, and I believe they should cut by 50 basis points in September, although there is a 25 basis point cut already baked in. Cotality reported that home prices fell 0.2% in July, much weaker than their forecast of 0.5%. They also reported that home prices rose 1.4% year over year. So while still in positive territory, clearly decelerating. Cotality is forecasting that home values will rise 0.2% in their August report and 3.9% in their year going forward, which is down slightly from their previous forecast of 4.2%. If home values do increase 4% or slow over the next year, that is still meaningful for wealth creation. Clearly, Cotality is forecasting lower rates ahead, which will increase activity and cause home prices to appreciate. Now, I'm going to be the first to tell you this. I know there's a national housing crisis discussion going in Washington. There's an easy solution to it, but no one's talking about this other than here on Ron Siegel Radio. If we get that cut in the capital gains tax on primary residences, who benefits from that? Our seniors, because they're the ones that have the most equity in their properties. They can sell and not pay taxes, puts more property on the market, increases supply. What happens when supply goes up? Prices go down unless demand goes up at the same time. Keep the interest rates and the mortgage rates where they are so that we don't create more demand, but we bring more supply into the market. Real estate values drop a little bit, and we don't have another surge of purchasing, which causes prices to go back up. So you can't afford it. Just think about these things. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. So let's chat about some of these ideas. And, you know, I mention all the time that I am a certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Our guest today is a guru in the planning world, especially for people who are thinking about getting their household finances in order. Brian Vieaux is with us. FinLocker, welcome.
Thanks, Ron. Love the updates, man.
Tell us about FinLocker. What is FinLocker?
Yeah, so best way to think about FinLocker is we've built a consumer financial fitness app that's focused on home ownership. And that focus can begin 6, 12, 18, 36 months before someone's ready to buy. And so we partner with mortgage companies and originators who provide access to this app to their prospects and customers. And once a consumer's in the app, they're able to connect direct to source to their data, things like credit score, assets, how much money they have in their accounts, their income, their employment. And on top of that direct source consumer permission data, we engineer very dynamic journeys that help guide somebody who's not yet ready to buy to a place where they can confidently apply for mortgage financing. And there's a whole lot more, but that's the crux of it.
Wow. Well, that's a lot right there, just because, unfortunately in our school system right now, there's not a lot of financial education. And I use my own kids as an example. My oldest went to we were fortunate enough to put him in a private school. He's a senior at this point. At that point, he's 35 now, but at the point in time that we're talking, he needed a check for something. And he came to me and said, Dad, can you give me a check for whatever it was? I don't remember, probably football if I know him. And I said, you write it, I'll sign it. And he turned to me and said, Dad, I don't know how to write a check. We're not educating our kids. So does the platform help educate people?
It does, Ron. But I want to say my belief that in terms of who the best source of education is for financial literacy, clearly it's families and parents. That's number one. You've already hit the nail on the head. We're not doing this at scale in the academic world, so we're not teaching it in schools. So I actually think the single best resource for financial education, financial preparation, especially for anyone that's thinking about being a homeowner somewhere down the road, is a local mortgage professional. And so what we believe is that our tech scales the capabilities and abilities of that local mortgage professional to touch and impact more consumers in their communities.
You're bringing something up there. I'm gonna challenge you just a little bit. I think a mortgage professional who hosts a radio show might be the right one, but that's a different story.
Well, clearly.
But I kind of chuckle when you say that, because historically the mortgage professionals have gotten a bad rap. And I laugh when I say that, because at one point in my career, I was in the financial services in the stock brokerage world. I worked for Merrill Lynch. And, when you look at the hierarchy of professionals with the most credibility, stockbrokers were right near the bottom. And I jumped ship to go to becoming a mortgage professional who's even lower than a stockbroker. So, but there are a lot of people I'm going to say that the minority of the mortgage professionals are using services like yours because they're not looking to just be a transactional operator.
Yeah.
They want to have a relationship and an education with somebody long term. Am I offbeat there?
No, you're spot on. And I love that you brought up transactional, right? There's the transaction-based financial services provider, be it a mortgage originator, be it a stockbroker or anything else, right? Insurance salesperson. And then there's kind of a lifelong relationship oriented professional who leads and starts with education, and then whatever happens downstream is a byproduct of the education that builds trust, builds the relationship. And I think the way I think about it, and a friend of mine, Ryan Grant, says this wonderfully. His belief is that the relationship with a borrower starts at mortgage closing and extends for 30 years, right? You become that. If you've done your job through the transaction, you earn the right to have a lifelong relationship centered on home ownership with the borrowers you serve.
Yeah, and Ryan is I know Ryan, and he is a very, very good individual. I like to listen to what he has to say as well, because he does it the right way. And I can tell you that, again, as a consumer advocate, there's a lot of people in the industry that I say don't do it the right way. Sure. Ryan is one that does do it the right way with a group. And I'm going to share that he's right, that, it's a lifelong relationship if it's done the right way, because you're not looking at, just this transaction. I don't care. And I'm going to submit that there's no loan officer that I know, if they're worth their weight in anything, that can retire off of one transaction.
That's right.
And it's a lot better. And something, it makes, well, as a loan originator, I helped the first family in 1983, and I'm still friends with the family.
Love that.
You feel great when the best ones I love helping is veterans, and then first time buyers, seeing a young person or couple get the first set of keys. And I can tell you, Brian, we've talked about a 20-year plan on Ron Siegel Radio, where someone can go if they follow our 20-year plan, they can retire easily at 20 years. Yeah. That doesn't matter if you started at age 20, retire at 40, start at age 30, retire at 50. I don't care. The plan works for everybody. We'll talk more about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, inventory of homes for sale at a 5-year high, the hidden cost of free credit protection, All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. What if I told you that right now might be the best time in 5 years to find your dream home? I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's something that caught my attention this week. According to new data from Realtor.com, the inventory of homes for sale just hit a 5-year high. That's the most choices buyers have had since 2020. Now, what does this mean for you? If you've been sitting on the fence about buying, this shift changes the game completely. For the past few years, buyers were fighting over scraps, multiple offers, bidding wars, waiving inspections. That was the reality when inventory was tight. But here's the story I'm hearing from clients now. Just last week, I worked with a family in Orange County who had been looking for 8 months. They'd lost 3 bidding wars and were ready to give up. This inventory shift happened. Suddenly, they had options, real options. They found a home they loved, negotiated repairs, got their preferred closing date, and even received a small credit at closing. 6 months ago, that same scenario would have been impossible. Here's what smart buyers understand. More inventory means you can be selective. You can find a home that truly fits your needs instead of settling for good enough. You can negotiate terms that work for your timeline. And most importantly, you can make financial decisions based on strategy, not desperation. But here's where my strategic debt management approach becomes critical. Just because you can qualify for a loan doesn't mean you should take any loan. Strategy beats rate always. I recently helped a client who was pre-approved at their bank at 7.25%. Yes, it was a little while ago. Sounds reasonable, right? But when we looked at their complete financial picture, their household blended interest rate, cash flow impact, and long-term wealth building goals were restructured. We restructured their entire debt strategy. The result, they got a better rate, improved their monthly cash flow by $800, and positioned themselves to build wealth faster. That's the difference between eligibility and suitability. Bottom line, if you've been waiting for the right time to buy, this inventory increase might be your window. But remember, it's not just about finding the right house. It's about structuring the right financial strategy. Want to see how strategic debt management can help you take advantage of this market shift? Visit rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. Get that consultation going to learn about our certified buyer program, or go to ronsiegelradio.com for more information. Remember, strategy beats rate always. That is the real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation, another strategist, Brian Vieaux, is with us from FinLocker, and it appears that Brian has some fans already on Ron Siegel Radio. Best resource for financial preparation is a local mortgage professional. Good job. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate you chiming in. We always like hearing from people that are watching the broadcast or listening to the broadcast. So, Brian, before the break, I was mentioning our 20-year plan, and I'm wondering how FinLocker might work into this, because our 20-year plan is pretty simple. You buy your first house however you can get in. And down payment assistance, I don't care. Buy something that's commensurate with the apartment you're renting right now, not the 4-bedroom house with a pool and a white picket fence. It's your dream home. We don't start on top of the mountain. I know in college, everybody's going to start out at $250,000 a year in the CEO seat. Life doesn't work that way. 3 to 5 years, you refinance that house, take money out, buy another house, and rent out the first one, buy the new one. Don't lie on your mortgage application. And then you buy another house, however you get into it. You do that 5 times over. Now you've got 5 houses. If you're in California, now you've got about $30 million worth of real estate, because in 20 years, 5 houses at $1 million, well, maybe not 30 million, but it's appreciating and somebody else is paying your payment. But can we watch our assets and our portfolio and our expenses in FinLocker, Brian?
Yeah, I love it. Ron, let's take a step back. Let's go to the current state. I'm renting, right? I've not yet bought my first home. Ron, my mortgage professional, invited me to download the Key Steps app, right? The FinLocker app. And in the app, I've connected my credit, connected the bank account or bank accounts that I'm going to use for my down payment, as large or small as it may be. And then also connected directly to my payroll, my income data. And now, from a certainty and confidence perspective, the Key Steps app with Ron right there is guiding me to a place of confidence, so that when I apply for that first loan on that first home, I feel good, I feel confident, and I'm in. Day 2, I've owned this home. In the same app, I now connect that property. And so what we do is we allow the user to connect the property or properties that they own in the app. We bring in a bank-rated valuation for each property. We also prompt the user to connect directly to the mortgage they have on that property or properties, right? So now I think you get the picture here. As your equity is growing and your value is growing and your mortgage balance is decreasing, you're seeing in real time that net equity and how it's growing and affecting your personal balance sheet, your personal, P&L. And so now maybe it's 2 years, 2.5 years down the road, you've had an improvement in your employment. Maybe you've got a promotion and a pay raise. You're ready to take that next step. Maybe you're still not going to get the pool, but maybe you get the fence in the front yard anyway. And now the app is going to help you prepare for that next purchase. And to your point, Ron, every time you add a piece of real estate, you're going to see how it impacts your personal net worth. This isn't just a one and done, mortgage application app. This is a lifelong financial fitness app centered on the entire homeownership journey.
And that's what you're talking about right there is a whole different paradigm. Right. When you think about it, there's so many people in this. We're inundated so much with the tech world that's, press button and get a mortgage.
Yeah.
And to me, that's making a big assumption. I'm not saying it's bad, but the assumption is that the consumer knows everything there is to know about the mortgage world and how to set the right strategy.
Right.
Right now, I mean, one of the things that I like a lot are when the time is right. It probably might not be right now, but when the time is right, adjustable rate mortgages are a great tool. Yet most people don't think of them because 80 or 90% of the people have a 30-year fixed rate mortgage because that's what mom did. That's what grandma did. That's what great grandma did. And it's probably the highest priced mortgage that we offer.
Yeah.
But this app, it sounds like, is going to educate people so that they can make a better decision. Is that some validity there?
100%. Yeah, we again, and I'll keep saying this. The best way that any technology works, especially in the financial services space and especially in the home buying and financing space, technology has become somewhat table stakes. We all, as consumers, expect a great customer experience from a technology perspective. the differentiator and really like your 20-year strategy, Ron, you're not going to get that in a piece of technology. That comes with your experience, your expertise, and your professionalism. And so I always advise any buyer, whether it's your first time buyer or the second, third, or fourth time buyer, to find and work with that trusted mortgage professional in your community. And hopefully it's one that you've been working with from the very beginning, right? That becomes your lifelong homeownership partner, just like you would have, a tax advisor or a CPA, et cetera.
Well, and Brian, you'll probably appreciate this, because when I talk in the opening monologue about getting our or in the mortgage minute about getting our guidance, rsrlinks.com/HBOD, what I refer to as HBOD is Household Board of Directors.
Yes.
Right. Apple's doing a big launch today, and they have a board of directors because Tim Cook can't do it all.
Right.
Right. So they've got all these people that are giving him guidance. Well, like you're suggesting, we need this financial app. We need a realtor. We need a lender. We need a tax attorney. We need a tax strategist, which is not the same as your CPA. We need a estate planning attorney, insurance people. Hopefully you don't need a divorce attorney or a bankruptcy attorney, but they might be part of the board of directors. Now, does the app bring in my outside assets also, Brian?
It does. What we've done, which is pretty unique, is we've taken many of the tools that consumers are comfortable and used to using, whether it's Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, NerdWallet, on the credit education engagement side, or used to be Mint.com. They don't exist any longer, but Rocket Money, Monarch Money, those are more of the personal finance, budgeting, goal setting, spending analysis. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we loop or tie in the ability to connect any real estate that you own, and we bring that valuation in. And so now if you think about, for most people, that when they buy their first home, that home becomes the largest asset in their balance sheet. The corresponding mortgage against that home is most likely their largest liability. Those become the center of the plate of that personal financial snapshot. And then, Ron, to your point, as a young home buyer starts to, grow in their career and grow in their personal finances, and maybe now they have a 401k, an IRA, those accounts can also be linked in the app, and it completes that entire picture. But the center of the plate is always the real estate and any corresponding liabilities against that real estate.
It's interesting that you use the terminology, the center of the plate, because as a certified liability advisor, what we talk about is the three-sided balance sheet, the three-sided balance sheet. Normally you've got two sides. We look at a three-sided balance sheet, which exactly what you're saying is it's the real estate is the one that really encompasses both. So, you look at that and you have to really get in there and understand the entire picture. And it's ironic that the financial planners rarely, and I love financial planners, but they rarely deal with real estate because it's not their focus, right? They don't know what you're talking about, having the real estate valuation, and their compliance department, generally won't even let them talk about that because they might be held liable for saying that, technology or the valuation models say your property is worth X because they might have got it from Zillow, which tells us they're 30% off, but that's a whole different story. We're going to continue our conversation with Brian Vieaux when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free. rsrlinks.com/debt-free. So I wanted to talk to you about the hidden cost of free credit protection, but I talked too much. So if you want to get the report, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. rsrlinks.com/HBOD. We'll put that on the site there, and you can go grab that over there. Again, it's free. Everything, not everything we do. We have to make money. We have to support our families. But for the most part, we're giving you stuff away, and we don't charge you for this stuff. It's our goal. It's our mission. Ron Siegel Radio has never been a profit-making venture, unfortunately. It's the idea here is we want to get it so you can get these tools to make your life better. So that's our focus. So let's continue our conversation. Brian Vieaux is with us. FinLocker is the name of the company. And Brian, so it sounds like, you're the technology backbone of what we've been talking about on Ron Siegel Radio for years with the Certified Liability Program that we deal with. We've got the financial advisors doing a great job with financial planning. We've got the three-sided balance sheet, which has that real estate component. You've also bringing in there the credit, which, when we talk about credit on Ron Siegel Radio or any of the seminars or speaking engagements I do, credit's always a big, big topic because it's so misunderstood. Is there education around that credit piece on the site?
There is. And it starts, I'll say education for anything starts with awareness. I can teach you all day long about the importance of making timely payments and managing your utilization rate. But if you don't know where you are today, what are we really teaching you to, you don't know where you're going to go and how to improve. So the app has a feature all around credit. And so it starts with the consumer connecting to their credit, which is a simple process. And that enrolls the consumer in free. By the way, our app is entirely free to consumers. The mortgage
free,
100% free, right? The mortgage professionals that partner with FinLocker and deliver this app to consumers, have a license fee to offer this product. The consumer gets their credit score. It updates every 7 days. Now, do I think you need to, track your credit score every 7 days? Not necessarily, but if you're on a path where you're working with a professional to make improvements in your credit to get mortgage ready, the alerts that you get every 7 days are going to tell you if the actions you're taking in those 7-day windows are moving the needle as it relates to an improvement in your score. The other feature that comes right along with that credit score is free credit monitoring. Credit monitoring is extremely important, folks. If you don't have a credit monitoring resource today, you need to have one. And what that means is, for free, you're able to, when you enroll in credit monitoring, and you can do this through our technology, you'll be alerted as a consumer anytime there's an inquiry on your credit. So if someone pulls your credit report, and maybe it's because you applied for an auto loan or some other financial transaction, but sometimes you'll notice an inquiry made and you weren't the one that transacted. And so there's a feature that helps you protect against identity theft with credit monitoring. The other feature that I think is super interesting is, the credit report itself. For us in the lending industry, we understand and we can pull a credit report and look at it. The average consumer, it's an eye chart. It just has a bunch of funny numbers all over the place. We've built a very consumer-friendly visualization of all the credit data down to each credit liability that you might have on your credit report, auto loan, student loan, credit card, etc. So it's very easy and intuitive to understand an at-a-glance view of your credit. And then the feature that we find most engaging, especially for early journey first-time home buyers, is our credit simulator and credit compass. I'll start with Compass. Credit Compass allows you to set a target goal for improving your score, and then gives you a 6, 12, 18-month roadmap of actions you would take to reach that goal. And then the app is going to track your progress towards that goal. Simulator is the inverse. So the simulator allows you as a consumer to say, what if I was able to reduce my credit card balances by $5,000? What would that do to my score? We have an integration with one of the bureaus, TransUnion, where we hit their algorithm with that modeled action of reducing balances by $5,000. And it'll come back and say that action, that activity would improve your score 10 points, 12 points, 20 points. And you can do the inverse. Let's say someone's got something going on with their employment. Maybe their hours are being reduced. Perhaps maybe they're even being laid off, and they now have to make decisions on what payments they can make on time and what they might have to let go a little bit slower. You can model each of your liabilities and see the impact of one or more or all of your liabilities going into a 30, 60-day delinquent status. So it just helps people, educating is one thing, but giving them engagement and tools that sit on top of their own credit data is flat out empowering.
That's amazing, because I've shared on our broadcast many times that I use a service that gives me up to the minute notifications of my FICO score. And I manipulate it because that's the only way that I know to find out what's happening. I didn't, before you and I started speaking, I didn't know you could do it through your app. So, I would let my utilization go up to 40%, and then go to 50 and 60 and 70 and 80 and see what the change, because if you're not using your credit right now, it doesn't matter if it goes up like that.
That's right.
And then you model it going back the other way, and you can see, okay, well, at 90%, there's a hit. At 100%, it's a real hit. Then you start saying, okay, how many of your credit cards, your revolving debt, is over limit, and what's the hit for that? And going back the other way. So having that information is very, very empowering. If you want more information on Brian's app, give me a call at 800-306-FinLocker. So if you want more information on it, again, give me a call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Brian, glad to have you on. We're going to have you come back on more once we can play with the app a little bit and see what it's doing, because sounds like there's some really, really cool stuff in here, and we need it. So really appreciate you coming on. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.